Let's talk about used snowblowers, and do they represent a good value? Why would you want to buy a used snowblower? Well, you could save hundreds of dollars. That's the main reason, I suppose. But you want to look at some things before you do, otherwise you might end up with not such a great value. First of all, you might want to look at the overall condition. This one, at first glance, doesn't look very good, but the closer you look, the better it looks, because the rust is really not very advanced. It's mostly surface rust. And this is a snowblower that is built with heavy gauge steel. This is very thick, and this is very thick. You can't bend this. If you go into a store, try that. You see how far you get. All right, so we're looking at it. You just give it the overall look. The tires, they should not be cracking on the sides. You don't want that, because that means their life is getting towards the end. They've been exposed to a lot of UV. A lot of times snowblowers are stored indoors, and that's best for longevity. Check the oil. It should be honey, look like honey, and it's not black, and it shouldn't have smell of gasoline. It shouldn't look like butterscotch colored oil. That could indicate contaminants such as water has gotten into the oil, and that's not good. Also check the level. In this engine, the level should be just to the bottom of this opening. You don't want it above, and you don't want it too low. These are skid plates. They're designed to wear out over time by rubbing on the ground. Check them out. They're not very expensive, though, and provided that the nuts are not terribly rusted, they may be pretty easy to replace. It's only 2 nuts to hold them on. You do want to make sure that the metal around them is still good, that they're screwed to. There's also a plate that goes across the bottom here. It's called a scraper bar, and you want to take a look at that condition as well. Moving on, we can see that this has signs that it's been spray painted a little bit, and they didn't obviously protect the decals. So I guess they kind of tried to make it last a little longer. This fuel tank has been replaced, and regardless, you can check inside the fuel tank and check the condition. You don't want to see a lot of rust or contaminants in there either. And check the gasoline. If the gasoline's been in there a long period of time, that's not good. Also, it's a good idea to take a look at the wheel hubs. This assembly, the wheel, it shouldn't be rusted onto the drive shaft, and you can tell if there's some movement or not. That also goes for the augers in the front here. These are designed to have a shear bolt, and that's designed to break if you get something stuck in here. So anyway, check the augers against the shaft here and see if they're movement is independent of the shaft. You should have a little bit of wiggle. And here we do. And each one of those is separate on the shaft. If you're looking, you can actually check the gearbox. This one has a plug that you can take off and dip something in to check the oil level in that. It should be, in this one, it should be just to the bottom of this hole. And the bigger the gearbox here, the better. This is a pretty beefy one, and it goes back pretty good distance. Years ago, they went way back, and they were really beefy. And like I said, this skid a scraper bar. Goes along the bottom, and that's got, in this case, 5 bolts holding it in. And that's designed to wear out so that you can just replace it instead of wearing out the bucket. Another thing to check is the impeller bearing, and by impeller bearing I mean this here. You can grab hold of the impeller and see if it moves up or down or side to side, and this one doesn't. So that means the ball bearing that holds that is still good. If you had some play that you could feel, it would not be good. It would be needing replacement soon. Another thing to look at on this one is this wing nut, which holds the chute deflector so that you can adjust the chute and the direction of the snow. The height of the throw of the snow. And what else? Of course, you can check the muffler, make sure it's not rusted out. All right. Now the controls, all the controls should be smooth and operate nicely. This is the chute control, they call it. That's nice. We got a throttle up here on this one. That works fine. Push it all the way down and kills the ignition. This one actually has an ignition key switch. That works. And this is the blower clutch. Here's the transmission. All the way forward in the back. Just like it should. And of course you want to make sure that it runs properly and starts within maybe 3 pulls at the most. Usually 1 or 2 pulls is standard and what you want. Also when it's running you want to make sure there's no strange noises. One thing I want to point out about these tires, even though there's tread on these are not ideal for snow and ice. So if your property is sloped, you probably want to put chains on these, or get some actual snow tires with a very aggressive tread. Another thing to check is the bushings on the wheel axle, and that's right down inside the wheel. Get this adjusted here. Right in this area here. Look down in there and watch it while you lift up on the handles to see if there's any wiggle. You'll probably get a little bit of wiggle, which is fine, but a lot is not good and would mean that the bushings need to be replaced. The bushings aren't terribly expensive, but sometimes the labor involved is a